What the hell?
I mean, we have like all this stuff. It's kind of dope. What's up, good folks? It's Mike D. What's good? Welcome to Blazi Blah, where we build, connect, and break bread with our folks. And guess who's in the motherfucking house?
Hey, hello.
Who that? Who that?
Hello. What's up? I'm Mark Serrano, aka Manong, aka Mark the DJ.
Why Manong Mark?
Okay, so at FYC, the students have to call us Kuya. You know, we have like a Kuya Ate system, but because I'm Ilocano, you know, I'm like, oh, well, I didn't grow up using the word Kuya. I grew up using the word Manong, so, you know, just call me Manong, you know.
Are you sure it ain't just because you're old?
You know what?
I'm fucking with you.
Everyone's do. And
Manong, what's up?
It's funny because like working with youth, man, like you're old to everyone,
Period.
bro. Dude, oh my God.
Crazy. And you DJ.
I do DJ.
Manong Mark the DJ.
Yeah, man. I've been DJing since maybe about 93, 94.
Good Lord.
I'm always a student of the game and stuff like that. So, you know, like I'm always learning. I don't claim to be like the best DJ ever,
but you can
I can rock a party. I can rock a party.
Okay.
You know.
And a tattooist.
Yeah,
tattooer.
Man. Yeah.
I don't know how you say it.
Tattooist?
Tattooer?
I don't know. Yeah, man. I hooked up with this with the OG Monk. His actual name is Ben Valdez.
408 Monk.
Yeah, 408, man. You remember the shop? But,
yeah.
Yeah, so I hooked up with him. I started getting some work from him. Prior to that, I was getting work from an OG named Darius from Underground. Shout out to Underground Tattoo. Yeah, I started getting tattoos from Monk. And I was, you know, like as an artist, you know, it always fascinates me. You know what I mean? Like just any kind of art form.
For sure.
Yeah. So I was like, yo, you know, how do I get down with tattooing? So, you know, long story short, I ended up apprenticing for him for about 4 years, and then I started, and I've been tattooing for a little over 10 years, I think.
Damn.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, I started off doing like Asian artwork, like black and gray, but now I mainly do like Polynesian and tribal and stuff like that too. So.
And part of the Zulu Nation.
Yeah, man.
What is that? Tell me about Zulu Nation.
So formerly, I was actually the vice president for San Jose Zulu Nation. I'm like 4th generation San Jose Zulu. San Jose Zulu Nation is an organization that was created back in the 80s by Africa Mbata. And we're an organization that tries to unify and create positivity through the hip hop lifestyle. So here in San Jose, a bunch of us have gotten together, and actually San Jose Zulu kind of died for a little bit, and we kind of just revived it maybe about 6 years ago. Havoc from the Beat Junkies, he's actually our king for the chapter and stuff. He's the one that actually created the chapter. So I've been doing that for a little bit. I've been trying to let folks know about Zulu, you know, because, you know, everyone loves hip hop.
For sure. I mean? So, yeah. One thing.
Yeah.
Has anyone thought or look at you or think of you that you're another ethnic race? Man. Like you coming down the street with all you tatted up and all that? Like what was the most common thing that people mistake?
Samoan. Okay. You know what? That's probably the thing that I get the most common Samoan, because I you know, prior to me having dreads, I had long hair. You remember?
Right.
And you know, the long hair, my size, me being tatted up, you know, kind of just, you know, I don't know what it is. Nothing about me looks Samoan. You know what I mean? Like I'm big, but I'm just big here in the middle. You know what I mean? But I you know, I get Hawaiian, I get Tongan. You know, one time I got Vietnamese for some reason.
Really? That's surprising.
It's never Filipino, dude.
Really?
I never get Filipino, dude. Yeah, man. I always get mistaken for something else.
Well, I see you. You're Filipino than a motherfucker.
Yeah, I think so too. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. We're already getting into this. You know, I wanted to ask, what is your migration story? And this is the question I want to ask everyone in terms of my guests, and, you know, I want to know.
So my dad came here in the 70s. He came here without my mom. My mom was in Germany going to school as a nurse.
Were they already together?
Yes, they were together.
Okay,
they were together already. And my dad came here in the 70s. And my dad actually has a crazy story, man. And, like with without really going into it, like my dad, in the 70s, he experienced a lot of racism and different things like that. It was just crazy for him back in the day.
For sure.
And so my dad was here, or my dad was here, and then my mom was in Germany, and then that's when I was born. I was born in Germany, and then after that, I went to the Philippines for a couple months or something like that, and then I came here. So I was here at a very young age. I was here maybe like 2 years old or something like that.
Oh, okay. So you spent like a year or maybe a year and a half in Germany.
Yeah, not even that long. I spent more time in the Philippines.
So you're German Filipino.
You know what? And everyone always asks me that. And no, I you know what? I don't know any German. I don't know. My mom, she's very fluent in German. But
Is she?
Yeah, my mom.
Oh, that is dope.
My mom's very fluent in German, dude. And it's funny because we went to Munich a few years ago, and we had to take my mom all around, with us, because she's the only one that knows how to speak German.
So how did they get here? Like, what was the process?
I believe it was just a regular process. My grandma was here first.
Okay.
I don't know when my grandma came here. Oh, actually, no. My auntie, my dad's older sister was here. He petitioned my grandma, and then my grandma's here, and then they petitioned my dad to come here, and then after that they petitioned after that my dad petitioned my mom to come here.
So how did your grandma got here? Like, what was the first
you know what
wave?
And that's I mean, this is probably something that I would like to say to everyone. If you get a chance to talk to your grandma or your grandparents, do it, because most of your story as a person, it comes from like your ancestors.
It's rooted.
And you know what? And like by you asking that question, I never really got a chance to ask my grandma how she got here, but I know that she was petitioned here, and she actually lived in San Diego for a little bit, where I lived in San Diego for a little bit too. So.
Okay, I mean generally, our migration story as Filipinos is the farm workers.
Yeah.
And in 1920s and 30s, and then in the 20s there was like early stage of the Filipinos joining the military.
Yeah.
Or it's either also another like whether it's being in the medical
field, or like you're an educator,
or you're a nurse.
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Man. Yeah, man.
So those are like our migration waves, the different waves of migration.
Well, my grandma was 100 when she passed away. So she came here. She came here. She wasn't that young when she came here. She spent the Philippines.
Okay.
She was in the Philippines during like the wars and stuff like that.
Well, I'm gonna give you homework.
Dude, you know what?
I'm gonna give you homework, bro.
And again,
you're gonna have to dig in. You're gonna have to dig in.
And again, like I'll kind of touch on this, when we talk about like FANHS and stuff like that. But like, again, this is something like I lived with my grandma. When I was living in San Diego, I shared a room with my grandma for about a year.
Okay.
And we did not talk at all. I mean, we talked a little bit, but it wasn't much.
It was day to day, Blazi blah. What's up? Hi. No, for real. I think like definitely it's something I encourage folks. It's like take the time to just have a conversation, whether it's your parents.
Yeah, man. No history, no self, dude.
You know what I mean? Well, what happened is that like even in our own parents, we kind of take them for granted, and we only see them as a caretaker.
Yes, absolutely.
Like provider.
Yeah.
But sometimes we miss out the human experience and the humanity that they have, and all the struggles and victories that they've gone through. You know what I mean?
Well, the funny thing is that we don't start to appreciate. We don't start to appreciate our parents until we get a little older. I mean, we're socially conscious for a very long time at a young age, right? But we don't get like woke until like you get to college, and then you start to hear all these stories, and then all of a sudden you want to learn like your history, you know what I mean? Like even in like high school, you know what I mean? Like most Filipinos, so you have your Filipinos that join the Filipino club, but a lot of times it's like popularity and it's just a place to hang out. But
it's social.
It's very social, but it's not till you get to like the college age, or even just like a little older, maybe like in your 20s where you start to learn, where you start to gain.
Well, for the folks, don't wait.
Yeah, seriously, don't wait. I mean,
you have the time,
man.
Kind of try not to look at them as just caretakers and providers. Again, back to the point of they have the history, they have their struggles, they have their victories, and to learn about yourself It's meaning that like you have to really dig in terms of like the experience of your parents and their parents to be able to see like the trauma that has been passed on.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the things that what we become is really in terms of the influence of the very people that we are around. And sometimes
Absolutely.
we have to really look at that. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? So yeah. So you're a first generation.
I guess I am. Off camera, me and Mike, we were just having this conversation, and like a lot of people get it confused about. So let me get it straight.
Okay,
so
go.
if you were born outside and then you came here, you're first generation.
Yes.
You're second generation if you were born here.
Yes.
Okay, so then I'm first generation.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of confusion in terms of the terminology. Like, there's 1.5. There's like, no, you ain't got to do all that. Like,
and for those of you guys who don't know what 1.5 is, 1.5 is actually you come here from a different country, like when you're like 9 or 10 or something like that. But so you spend half your life.
Yeah.
There
but
and here.
The real definition in terms of first generation migrants or second generation is if you are born outside of the U.S. period, and then you come here, that is first generation.
Absolutely.
There's a confusion. Well, there's questions about like, well, I came with my grandma and my parents.
There's always a story, dude.
Yeah, and sometimes we look at that in terms of the tree of migration.
Yeah, man.
No, that's the tree of your family. You could be like third generation, fourth generation, or whatever of the family thing is. But in terms of migration,
right?
If you are born outside of the Philippines and you migrated here, no matter what age, that's first generation.
Yes.
So second generation is your kids.
Right.
And then being born here and so on, third generation, whatever have you, you know what I mean? Right. So just to clarify what the meaning of that.
No, honestly, and thank you for clarifying that, because
sure.
I mean, the people who watch this video, I'm pretty sure they're going to be like, oh, okay, that's what that is.
For sure. So you are part of you shared about Zulu Nation, but also a part of FYC. Not just a part. We'll talk about that more, and also part of FANHS. So, tell me about FYC. What is FYC, and what do you do at FYC?
So basically, I'm actually the executive director, the current executive director.
Say what?
The current.
Say what?
The current.
Okay.
Executive director.
The executive director. Let's go.
I'm currently the executive director of Filipino Youth Coalition, and FYC is actually an organization that was created back in the 90s by folks like Marcus Mosqueda, Tony Santa Ana, Steve Arevalo, rest in peace. And it was an organization that was created in order to combat the Asian American violence that was happening back in the day.
Gangsta era.
Yeah, as you know, man, the 90s was heavy with like the Filipino gangs and the Vietnamese gangs. And a bunch of folks got together and they were like, you know what, like let's try to squash all this stuff and let's try to teach these youth like something about themselves. So FYC was created to be able to bring Filipino culture, because like a lot of Filipino Americans are very disconnected, right, with the culture. You know what I mean? And it's like, like I said before, no history, no self. Like we FYC strive to be able to bring positivity through the culture. And historically we've worked with like at-risk youth, like truants, gang members, and different things like that. But like recently, ever since I took over, like what I wanted to try to do was focus more on mental health, because like nowadays, the demographics is different. There aren't a lot of like Asian gangs aren't as prevalent as they were back in the 90s.
For sure.
So we wanted to be able to focus on like things like mental health or family reunification or things like that. You know what I mean? And we don't work with just Filipinos.
Yeah. But on the real, in terms of FYC, I think a previous podcast, I talked to Abe. He also had a history with FYC.
Yeah, man.
And I think, FYC came around when the gangster era, early 90s came in, and then a lot of people were being impacted by gang violence.
Right, absolutely.
And so FYC was created to at-risk youth and provide space in terms of development and growth.
Right.
But at the end of the day, also, like I do want to add, like, at that time, gangs is not necessarily bad. gangs for some.
It depends how you look at it. You know, I always tell people you can't say that gangs are stupid if you've never been around them or if you've never been in one. Because I mean, what's the point of a gang? The point of a gang is to I mean, you're not getting any support at the home, or like you're getting bullied by people in the community.
Right.
So you band together with people that are the same as you to be able to protect yourselves. You know, and you know, through all the camaraderie, sometimes dirt might be done and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like the point of a gang is the camaraderie.
Yeah, it's the reflection of the time.
Right, and it very much is a reflection of the time.
In the early 90s, again, gang was prevalent. Everybody was joining a gang.
Right.
But so, you know, in these neighborhoods, like the youth are looking for safety.
Right.
And as you said, camaraderie.
Yeah.
You know, like especially in the working class communities where parents are like working
10, 20 hours.
And they're not
never
around.
Yeah.
So we provide, but in terms of the needs specifically, like it's not all there. So there was people join the gangs.
Especially for us latchkey kids. Like I was a latchkey kid. Like, and if you don't know what a latchkey kid is,
what is that? I don't even know what that is.
A latchkey kid is.
Say that again.
A latchkey kid.
Latchkey.
Latch. Latchkey.
Latchkey.
So
Okay.
a latchkey kid is like it refers to the latch on the side door that you have to get in at the front door's locked. So it refers to people. It refers to youth that that the parents aren't home to let them in, or their parents aren't there. You know what I mean? So they kind of have to fend for themselves. So that was my story. I was actually part of FYC back in the day, back when I was a freshman. That was back in '93. Jesus. But yeah, so I was a latchkey kid, and so was my brother, and we both turned out to be part of a gang. You know what I mean? And
it was natural for us to, because that's the hood.
Yeah, and it's not like we were looking to do dirt. It's just, well, my friends are part of this, so okay, I guess. You know what I mean?
It becomes like a thing, and it becomes like, we organize a group together for safety, for camaraderie, for building. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean,
so there's a sense of that in terms of the gangs. That was what was happening in the early 90s.
In the 90s, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And of course, definitely there was some gang violence that was happening.
Right.
There was youth impacted. So FYC was created specifically to address.
Right. To be able to address that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so I think I like what you're saying. I think FYC is different times.
Yeah.
And then we have to figure out what are the youth, in terms of what their needs, and wants, and be able to provide those. And so I thank you for trying to look into that in terms of their mental health.
Well, and that's
other needs that they have.
And that's the hardest thing, like youth nowadays, like the gaps between like our generation and their generation, it's so fat, So being able to figure out how to reach youth nowadays, it's definitely a challenge, man. But we try.
For sure. Well, I think for the most part, like you have to allow the youth to take power, and agency in terms of the work they do, and allow them to be able to touch their constituents or the people around them. You know what I mean? So you have to like actually be able to prop up a leader in a community that is within that age group.
Right.
And so you got to work with the youth in that way. And so, yeah. But what got into you DJing? Like, what was that DJing thing?
So, funny story. Well, not funny story, but
DJ Manong Mark. What's your is it like an introduction? Like,
no, I don't. You know what? I don't have one of those.
It's DJ Manong Mark. What's up?
And everyone always keeps telling me, dude, you need DJ drops, and I'm like, I'm always gonna forget to press the button that does the DJ drop when I'm working.
So you don't have a drop?
I have my own drop that I made myself.
Well, how you go?
Mark the DJ. That's it.
Yeah, Mark the DJ.
Anyway, so I started DJing. I started DJing with a couple folks that I got into the gang with and stuff.
Okay.
And actually, DJing, like hip hop in general, kind of saved my life and stuff.
Okay.
It gave me. I started off as a graffiti artist. And then I ventured into doing like trying to MC and stuff like that, but that didn't work out.
Okay.
And then I was a b-boy for a little bit back like 100 pounds lighter ago.
Okay. Can you still do? You got moves? I gotta see a sample. Let's go.
Nope. Not only am I old, but anyway, so I always took an interest in DJing, like things like scratching and mixing and stuff like that. And I had a whole bunch of friends that were DJs, so they kind of taught me. And I didn't have my own set. I kind of bounced around from house to house, like with people that had DJ sets.
Okay.
And that's how I kind of learned how to DJ and stuff. And like I was always, like I had people teach me like a couple things, but I was always self-taught. You know what I mean? And
Okay.
like, yeah.
What was the last party that you DJ'd?
The last party that I DJ'd was last year before the pandemic, and it was at this little spot called the Blue Chip, and it was kind of like it was where my residency was as a DJ.
Okay.
And I did a residency there with the president of Zulu Nation, Harris Cho.
Dope.
Yeah, that was last year, but unfortunately the
Pandemic came.
Yeah, pandemic came. And it was funny because we were booked for like the next few months after that, and I've already made the flyers for them. I've already started inviting people, and then bam, can't go anywhere.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Yeah, man.
I gotta ask.
Yeah.
You were a tagger.
Yeah.
What is your signature tag?
So I actually went by Germ.
Germ?
Yeah, Germ. And don't ask me how. I think I.
Well, I'm gonna ask you anyway.
I think I might have been reading like a soap. I'm pretty sure I was on the toilet and I was reading a soap bottle and it said Germ.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I like the letters in the word Germ, so I'm just gonna use that. You know what I mean?
The way the letters came together.
The way the letter, and that's the thing. Like being a graffiti artist, it's all about the letters that you're very comfortable with, because those are the letters that you're gonna keep doing. So yeah, those are the letters that I was comfortable with, and those are the,
What were the things that you tagged?
Like.
From the smallest thing to
me and my brother was a graffiti artist too, so it was kind of cool because me and my brother, we both started together, and it was like kind of like a bonding experience between us.
Okay.
So we would go out, we would do like bridges and different things like that. I never did anything crazy like the highway overpasses over 101.
Okay.
My brother has, but nah.
So if you see Germ somewhere,
yeah, man.
Now you know.
And there's a ton of Germ ones, dude. There's a ton of us, man, and it's because like the letters are so fun to do,
it's the GERM.
Yeah, GERM.
The way it just flows, comes together.
Yeah, it does very much so. Very much so.
Yeah. Germ, forget about it.
Hey, forget it, man.
So also you're a part of FANHS.
Yes.
What is FANHS?
So FANHS is Filipino American National Historical Society, and we're an organization that documents Filipino experience here in the U.S.
Okay.
And I'm actually part of the membership committee here in Santa Clara Valley chapter. Actually, with Abe, who's previously a guest of yours. So.
Yeah, for sure. The FYC, the folks out here.
yeah, it's funny, man. Like I've said before, like FANHS is more or less like a grown-up FYC. It's like everyone that was once part of FYC is now part of FANHS, right? It's kind of funny.
Talk about the campaigns that y'all have or the projects that y'all have with FANHS.
So it's been a rough year, man. Like we haven't done a lot. We haven't done as much as we have back in 2019 because of the pandemic. But one of our biggest things that we did do was Pinoy Town. Pinoy Town is...
Hey. Pinoy Town.
Shout out to Ugat.
Hey.
But anyway, so Pinoy Town, for those of you guys that don't know, is a small little enclave in San Jose's Japantown that was very prominent in the 20s and 30s. In the 20s and 30s, there was a small little section where like Filipinos would come to congregate, and it came about like it used to be Chinatown, then it became Japantown. And I'm giving you like the Cliff Note version of the history and stuff. But it used to be Chinatown, then it became Japantown. And then how the Filipinos started to own businesses was when the Japanese folks were interns in the internment camps.
Okay.
They weren't able to keep up the businesses, so the Filipinos took over those businesses, and that's how we ended up kind of congregating and stuff like that. But Pinoy Town, it's a small little 2 blocks if that, but it has a lot of history. Actually, the founder of Filipino Youth Coalition, Steve Arevalo, his family is from Pinoy Town.
Okay.
So all throughout the month of October in 2020, we did tours every Sunday for the whole month. Just kind of showing folks about Pinoy Town, and Manong Robert Ragsack is actually our main historian for Pinoy Town.
Okay.
Because he's actually born there, and he actually lived there.
He has history with it.
Yeah, he has a lot of history with it. So we actually did tours, and they were all booked. You know,
Okay.
yeah, man. We do have a waiting list and stuff, and
Are you guys still doing it?
we are. We do have a wait list, and if you are interested, you know, hit us up. FANHS.SCV@gmail.com. That's our email address, or you can hit us up on IG FANHS.SCV.
How does is there a cost to it? Like, what does it take for us to take part of the tour?
There isn't a cost, but we do take donation, and the donations
For sure.
Donations go to like our tours and stuff like that. You know, we get like waters and just different. You know, when we need like supplies and stuff like that, and they go through to our general fund for funds.
For sure.
Yeah.
So make sure y'all check that out.
Yeah,
Pinoy Town tour in San Jose, Japantown, which is a history. There's a history in terms of Pinoy Town.
Right.
So if you're in the Bay Area, San Jose, Santa Clara County, make sure you reach out to the folks to learn more about Pinoy Town.
Or if you're, I mean, we've had people from Vallejo, San Francisco come down.
Oh.
You know, but if you're interested in joining funds, period, you know, you go ahead and email us at the address that I had shot out a couple minutes ago. So.
For sure, hit them up.
Hit me up.
But do people say that you're intimidating? You look intimidating?
You know what? It's funny. Yeah, a lot. You know, at FYC,
But-
a lot of the students, like they won't talk to me. But then like when they do talk to me and they get to know me, it's like, oh, Mark's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Dude, I've had like I'll be walking on the street and I've had like old ladies cross the street to avoid me. Like it's.
I'll be avoiding you too.
Dude, it's just because I'm big. You know what I mean? I embrace my size, okay? You know?
Well, there's a stigma in terms of like tattoos. Right?
Exactly.
You know, like in terms of Filipino community,
Right.
Like if you're tatted up, like
You're bad. You just got out of prison.
you know what I mean? There's like a little history of like a little bad thing,
Yeah.
Whether it's serving time or do some crime, whatever have you. But I mean, like, Philippines was known as what? The islands of the painted ones.
Yeah.
La Islas de los Pintados.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
You know, when the Spaniards came in, that's what they saw. People were painted. They were tatted up.
Yeah.
And so historically, it's ours. You know, it's been a practice that we've been doing as Filipinos.
Right,
you know
tribal is very much a Filipino thing as well. And I know that it was very popularized by the Polynesian community, but little do Filipinos know that Filipino tribal is also very prominent. You know?
Yeah. I mean, historically, like in terms of like Polynesians, there's a history of the migration. Coming from like Taiwan,
right,
to the Philippines, and all the way out to the Polynesian
Austronesian
Islands.
is what I believe the term is.
Yeah. So there's like definitely similarities and influences that has happened on that journey to get where it's at now.
Yes.
And so there's definitely like cultural like similarities in terms of
very much so.
patterns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So do you have a tattoo
Yeah.
What is the most significant tattoo you have, and what does it mean?
All my all my tattoos, they mean something, and a lot of them.
That's a lot of stories.
It is, I always tell people, when I tattoo them, like they'll, sometimes they'll come to me and it's like, oh, I want like something small or something, blah, blah, and I always tell them like, I'll do whatever you want, but like, make sure that it means something to you, you know what I mean? And it's not just something like weird and whatever, but so for me, like it started off as very small pieces and stuff like that.
Okay, let's go there.
Okay,
what was the first tattoo?
My first tattoo was this weird angel tribal thing. Okay,
story time. Let's go.
I used to work at Hot Topic.
Okay.
During my undergrad at San Francisco State, I worked at Hot Topic at Serrano.
Okay.
And I was working the register, and I looked over at our sticker cabinet, and I noticed this little sticker thing. I was like, at the time, it was cool. It was early 2000s.
Hey, it's cool.
You know what I mean? And I was looking to get like angel wings or something like that to kind of represent my grandma. You know what I mean? So. Or like my mom, or like part of my family and stuff. So I saw this, and because it was kind of the sign of the times when the neo tribal was very popular and stuff. I saw that, and I got it, and I got it from Darius at Underground, and from there I got the Scorpion because I'm a Scorpio.
Oh damn!
Yeah, so then that's how there was like the base of like my story. So my left arm is like my mom and my grandma, like the women in my family and stuff. And I actually have a quote on my arm that's I'd rather die standing than live life on my knees.
Okay, keep on fighting.
Yeah, man. And then my right arm is my dad's side. I have a story of one of the stories of the Philippines here on my right leg, the dragon fighting the Sari Manok.
Okay.
I mean, if you guys know what a Sari Manok is, it's a golden chicken. And there's several stories in the Philippines about how
the origin story.
Yeah, the origin stories. And then my left leg is my tribal leg. I'm showing you like you can see it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but my left leg is a story of my whole family, like our immigration and different things like that. And then I have a big dragon on my torso that represents myself. It's a dragon that represents wisdom and strength.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my back, I have a mural that definitely is not finished, but it's kind of like my American, my Filipino American, and then my Filipino like roots and stuff like that all meshed together.
So is everything almost covered up, or there's some more pieces missing?
I do have a portrait, an unfinished portrait of Cory Aquino on my body somewhere.
Well, don't finish that.
Dude, Jesus. And then I have it's just my side, dude. The sides hurt, man. I'm not doing that at all.
That's the most painful one.
Dude, yeah, man. I cried when I was getting that portrait done.
Well, in regards to, you mentioned the dragon.
Yeah.
Filipino culturally, we actually have our own dragon.
Yeah.
The Southeast Asian
Explain
nation,
a little bit about that.
All of them had their own specific dragon. And as Filipinos, we have a dragon called Bakunawa. Yeah. So the story of the Bakunawa is the beginning of time, there were 7 moons, and the Bakunawa would eat the moon one at a time. So when there was like the last one left, the idea of the dragon eating the moon, in essence, when this moon eclipse is happening or being covered in terms of the light being covered in darkness.
Right.
People think it was the Bakunawa, the dragon eating the moon.
Oh, nice.
And so people would try to scare the dragon with pots and pans to make noises. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that was the story of the Bakunawa.
Oh wow! And that's actually the first time I've heard of that. That's crazy. No, seriously, I didn't. When you think about dragons, you think. A lot about like
medieval,
medieval,
European,
and then Asian, and then
the Chinese,
Asian, Chinese, Japanese, Korean. You know what I mean? So I mean, to know that Filipinos have their own dragons and stuff like that. That's kind of cool,
yeah.
You know? And does the Bakunawa does it look generally like a normal Asian dragon would look like? Is it
well, no, I mean it's basically like a dragon that comes out of the sea.
Okay, so it is serpent based then.
Yeah.
Because Asian dragons are very serpent based.
It's like a sea dragon.
Yeah.
So
that's cool, man. No, seriously, I mean, dude, now I have to go look that up
for sure. Like the story of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it'd be something that I would like to tattoo on someone.
Oh man, it'd be dope. Yeah. Let's go. Yeah. So is there a tattoo that you have that you regret?
Oh, dude. Oh, man. Okay, I'm not gonna share my most embarrassing one. But if you know me, you know. But anyways, I think the tattoo. I'm just gonna say the tattoo that hurt the most is the one on my throat, and that's actually FYC symbol.
Represent.
Yeah, and I cried. Like I literally cried. Like it's
No, but I'm gonna be real. Like, I have a tattoo on my right arm.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a sense of a tribal. But when I got it, I had no idea what it meant.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea in terms of the history, the patterns, and what it represents. Because each pattern means something.
right.
You know what I
Yes,
mean?
absolutely.
And so specifically when I got this, people were like, I was seeing a lot of like tribal tattoo. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put one together. I drew it myself.
Hey man, it's
Wait, like not knowing anything in regards to like the history of our indigenous peoples.
but that's how it starts though, man.
You know what I mean? So I just put it on, and I have a little baybayin on it.
Yeah.
But in essence, like, it's part of my journey in essence of learning.
Yeah.
So, and to the
And
point
that's
of
what
like, I do honor the tribal and the indigenous folks, specifically the struggles of the indigenous folks in the Philippines.
Right.
Whether it's whether it's up north, whether it's down south in terms of the Lumad communities that are being driven out by the multinational corporations
Right.
and the help of
Absolutely.
the government to exploit the land. In essence, people are being killed. It's real out there.
Yeah, no, it is.
You know what I mean?
And big ups to the organizations that are working out there, man. Because as a Filipino American, I definitely we as a Filipino American, we definitely see things differently coming from the outside in. And you're talking about shout out to groups like Bayan and LFS and Anak Bayan and stuff like that, doing some real good work out there. And it's like we will like us as Filipino Americans, we will never understand how it is to go through that unless we immerse ourselves into the struggle.
Well, like all these organizations have programs in terms of immersion or exposure trip, and to be able to understand, yes, we are here in America, we have escaped these poverties and all these things.
Right.
But in essence, we are not necessarily disconnected from these struggles, because the struggles we have here is rooted in our whole collective experience.
Absolutely.
The idea that,
Absolutely.
yes, we are here now as Filipino Americans and we have, in essence, escaped it.
Right.
But
in the belly of the beast, we still go through the.
you know what I mean? But it's that very system is the one that pushed us out.
Right. Exactly.
And the idea that, there's it's like thousands and thousands of people have to leave the Philippines because of poverty and corruption, because there's a culture of we have to leave.
Right.
Because the only hope is that we can make it somewhere else.
Right. And what sucks is that like millions of those same Filipinos that come that leave the Philippines for that reason come to the U.S. only to endure the same thing.
Yes.
With the immigration issues, police brutality. You know what I mean? Like poverty and stuff. It's not cheap to live
For
here in
sure,
California.
for sure.
So I was watching this documentary one time, and I believe it was $1 a day. 10 cents a dance. One of the ladies had said, or one of the manangs had said, when I came to the U.S., I thought that the U.S. was going to be like paved in gold, and we're just going to be like ice skating and stuff. And it's crazy because in the Philippines, like a lot of those folks have that same mentality.
Yeah.
It's going to be easier in the U.S., but matter of fact, it's harder, man.
But in essence, we as Filipino Americans have our own struggle here.
Right.
Period.
Absolutely.
So we can figure out how to work and build a better community here and provide the services that are needed.
Yeah.
But just know that it's not separate from the bigger picture and the issues back home.
No.
And so we can provide, because again, back to the point of once we have escaped what we need to escape, that doesn't mean that we can't participate and contribute to change the very thing that we want to escape.
Right.
And so people don't have to. Imagine your families and my family and our families don't have to be forced to migrate and actually have the opportunity, the job.
To be able to make it there.
To be able to make it and survive and thrive. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that's really try not to separate your struggle. Because your individual struggle wherever you are, whether it's America, Canada, or Europe, because of forced migration, like never separate yourself or disconnect yourself from the
motherland.
the root cause of why we
Why you're here? Yeah, why you're here? Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I hear you.
Yeah. So COVID-19 hits.
Yep.
What was that like for you?
Oh man, it was a little crazy. You know, like speaking on behalf of FYC, like with FYC, we were going through a rebuild period, and we had lost Welch Park in 2019, which was our original building, and then it was a little bit of a struggle to get a new building, which was Bethesda in the north side, and we had just gotten the building. We had just gotten a good flow of youth in, and we were about to start planning Battle of the Tribes. For those of you guys who don't know what Battle of the Tribes is, it's kind of FYC's biggest fundraiser, and we were about to get into it, and then boom, the pandemic hits, and then we didn't lose the building, but the city closed it because of the pandemic and stuff. So like we used to have Tuesday night activities, which is our after school program. We used to have Tuesday night activities at that building, and all of a sudden we couldn't have it anymore because because we didn't have a building.
Safety reasons.
Yeah, safety reasons. So I mean, we tried to do like virtual and stuff like that. Like we've been like we're still active. Like we've been trying to put out material, through social media. We've been having great workshops.
All online.
Oh yeah, all online, obviously, and but it's been difficult because one of our main things is being able to reach out to youth and tell them about FYC and stuff. But now that we can't go to the schools. There schools not even in session.
They're all shut down.
Yeah, they're still all shut down. Like it's been hard to be able to like reach out and tell people about FYC.
So new challenges.
Yeah, new challenges. And as far as personal life, like we talked about, like me and Leslie were supposed to get married and stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
But
so what's the plan now? What was the plan?
It was supposed to be September of last year. Oh. We postponed it in Hawaii. Oh. We postponed it to June this year. But now we're gonna have to postpone it again because apparently, like Hawaii, the restrictions are a lot different from ours.
For sure.
And I'm just not. Personally, I just don't feel comfortable enough yet to travel like on a plane on a 6
and bring all the families.
Right, exactly. I mean that's a ton of like even the family in Hawaii. Like they don't even travel that like that much. So it's like
yeah.
So I mean it'll happen, man. Like it'll happen. It's just we want to be able to have like everyone feel comfortable.
For sure.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, so. Safety, the whole family.
Safety first, man. Yeah.
So has had the COVID had an impact on you in terms of your personal,
absolutely,
like mental health?
I actually battle depression. You know what I mean? Like, and it's and honestly, like as a Filipino American, it's definitely a struggle. I mean, number one, to figure out who you are here. Identity is a big thing, and just generally, like where you are in life. You know what I mean? Again, like I'm 40 years old, man, and it's like like sometimes I'll feel like I haven't reached any goals and like that I've wanted to do, and it's like like COVID. When COVID hit, it was like you kind of just sitting at home, stewing in your own thoughts and stuff like that. Yeah. So I mean,
ruminating,
right? And COVID has definitely played a big impact in my own growth. I've had to, I always tell people like use this pandemic, not to feel negative about yourself or not to feel negative about you and your surroundings, but use it as a way to build because like every day we're working, we have 1,000 million things to do like during a normal day, but then now that we're just at home and we're spending time with family and we're kind of like by ourselves with our own thoughts, use that time to create positivity for yourself to grow.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
So. I mean, to highlight that, like we all struggle with some sense of mental health.
Right, exactly.
Everyone go to the different, different levels of it. But I think when it hits, I definitely had a huge impact on me. I didn't know what the fuck what to do. I was like, first and foremost, like, you know me, bro.
Yeah, man.
Like,
You're everywhere.
I'm like this.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
yeah, you're everywhere, dude.
I
Man.
I just blah with folks. I like to connect.
Yeah.
I like to interact. Like,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, it was like
Fuck, now you can't do it anymore.
The first 3 weeks,
Yeah.
I was all
dude.
sad and shit.
Yeah. Dude, not you know, and you know, for me, like my biggest thing is traveling. I love to just get out. You know what I mean? And
right.
like, I mean, like even just going back to like Hawaii and stuff. Like you know, like we would spend, you know, we would go to Hawaii like a couple times a year, a few times a year and stuff, and it's. Now we can't do that. You know what I mean? So it's like,
well, I tell everyone, you know, this podcast in essence is a healing for me in terms of being able to have interaction with people.
because we're talking, you know?
Yeah.
We're just talking bullshit. Yeah.
This is an opportunity for me to actually like have an interaction with people.
Right. No. I mean, no, and that's, you know, I've been saying for the past 2 months, I'm fucking so sick of Zoom calls, man. Like, you know, they need to happen. They need to happen. You know, but I really miss, you know, like with FANHS, we meet through Zoom, and I'm always saying like, man, I miss meeting like in a room and seeing everyone. You know, like it's so tiring seeing you like behind a screen. You know what I mean?
For real.
What are you gonna do? You know, I mean, this is kind of life now. You know,
for sure.
or at least for the meantime.
Well,
so.
we adjust.
Yeah,
we adjust.
Yeah. You
But
know?
I do want to put it out there, like, yo, you know where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anytime,
right on,
just
man.
holler at me.
Yeah, right on, man.
You know what I mean?
You do have a very good space, man, and definitely like things like this podcast is
Bruh.
really dope.
If anything, whatever's happening, if you just need to get away or whatever have you, or just need to blah.
Yeah.
Come through. I'm out here.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Right on.
I want to put it out there. Let's
Thank
go.
you very much. Thank you very much.
Because again, back to the point of like we all going through some stuff, and sometimes we ruminate all these ideas and we become subjective, and so you need someone to be able to interact with and like objectify your emotions and your feelings, and to like be there with you.
And the scary thing is, you know, especially with like the Filipino American or the Filipino community, even like the Asian community in general, we're very it's very taboo. You know what I mean? Like to be able to talk about like your issues, you know what I mean? So a lot of folks that aren't like, you know, because you know me and you, like we're very talkative, you know, we're very
all
open.
day.
I'm just a very open guy. Like I mean, but honestly, like you know, like for a lot of our community, they're very conservative and they're very reserved and stuff. So and like you said, like we all go through some sort of mental health, and to just keep that bottled in and to just not say anything, you know, it's very dangerous for your mental health, and it can make it worse. So
sure. For me, you know, like when I have interaction with people, I try to find this thing in terms of what I can learn.
Right.
Because, you know, they say like learning is mutual.
Right.
And when I'm having an interaction with someone, I'm always listening in a sense of like, I can see myself in you.
Right. Or what can you learn?
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm listening in a way that's like, yo, I fuck with that. Because I go through the same shit. You feel me? Like we all go through the same shit. So it come in different form, but the essence is the same. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, like I'm trying to learn like what all the things that you said, I'm listening to it.
Right.
And I want to be able to figure out like what's the best way to build with you in a sense, like in terms of where you at and how you doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? And be able to like, you know, like extend my arm or extend myself to be able to like.
It's very therapeutic.
For sure.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic, man.
So yeah, anytime, Blazi blah, we come through. Let's come through. We can talk shit all day.
Hey.
All day, bro.
And that's what we do, really. This conversation could turn into a 10-hour conversation.
Don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody. We're gonna Blazi blah after the recording.
If you like to talk, come here.
But
yeah.
So what does it mean to you being Filipino American?
You know, for me, actually, this is kind of like a workship that I do with the youth.
Okay. Give it. We're about to do a workshop right now. Let's go.
Well, we're not going to do the workshop. No, but basically, for me, you know, for me, we're all one people. As Filipinos, we're all one people. You know what I mean? But what we have to realize is that like the struggles, even though they might be similar in nature, the struggles are very different here in the belly of the beast and then in the Philippines. You know what I mean? And historically, there's been this whole Filipino American clash with like, you know, language barriers and different things like that. And for me, like the meaning of being Filipino American is not embracing that the fact that you're not in the Philippines, that you're here in the U.S., but it's embracing the fact that you're Filipino in the U.S.
America, yeah.
Right, exactly. You know, I might not know how to speak Ilocano, or no, I know how to speak Ilocano, but I might not know how to speak like Tagalog, or I might not be the most Filipino person out there, but I am still Filipino, and I still do have to figure out who I am here in America. You know, because here in America, I mean, there's so many different, you know, there's so many different cultures. It's easy to get lost, and if you don't know who you are, then you'll never know where you're gonna go. No history, no self, like I've been saying. Also, you know, it's a lot of people. You know, when I ask this with the youth, like, you know, is it important to know that you're Filipino or Filipino American or American Filipino, you know, and a lot of the times, you know, nowadays I'll get like, nah, it's not important because we're here already, or no, it's not important because I don't think about it every day, and that's true. Like, you don't think about it every day, you know what I mean? Like, or some youth don't think about it every day, you know, and it's like I always tell these youth that, like, yo, you know, this is who you are. You know, your skin is brown. You know, your parents are immigrants. You know what I mean? And even if your parents are not immigrants and they were raised here as Filipino Americans, their parents were immigrants. You know what I mean? And it's like, if you don't know who you are, how will you know where you're going? Like, where would you see yourself if you're just anonymous or just
right? And I think that becomes part of the assimilation.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, in terms of, like, I'm an American citizen. Right. I nationalized. I'm Filipino, born in the Philippines. But, you know, I don't really. I consider myself Filipino in
America.
Period.
Right.
You know what I mean? But, like, that's my way of not separating my personal experience to the experience of all Filipinos collectively around the world and in the Philippines.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I identify as Filipino in America. You know, but again, it's like however you identify, like, you don't have to think about it every day.
Yeah.
But in essence, like, whether you think about it every day, that doesn't disconnect your experience from the collective experience of people.
It does.
So here's an example. What makes a doctor a doctor? You know what I mean? It's basically because he knows.
He's gone to school.
He learned of the history of being a doctor and what has people collectively learn about
these practices, education. Yeah, exactly.
So being Filipino and your experience in America, or if you were born here, that experience does not limit the Filipino experience.
No, it doesn't.
So imagine a doctor coming in and practicing, and he doesn't want to take in the knowledge of the previous group of people that have learned about the thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so you're lacking.
Right.
You know what I mean? But if you, yes, your individual experience is very important, but the collective experience of all of us is more valuable than the individual experience. You know what I mean?
And what I always tell FYC youth is that, you know, like, you know, just by you being in this room, just by you being in this building, by you being part of this program, you're making history for our people.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like, you're partaking in history of our people. Like your experience is our history.
For sure.
You know, and again, going back to FANHS, like, that's the kind of stuff that we document. Because if you don't, like, even this podcast, like, if you don't document these experiences, then our people just get lost in history. You know what I mean? And it's a lot like the language. You know what I mean? You know, I'm kind of like victim to that, where it's like, you know, when I first came here, all I knew how to speak was Ilocano.
For sure.
I was
Lakay.
Yeah, I was in ESL and stuff like that, and it's like, you know, through westernized schooling, you know what I mean, like, you lose your accent, you lose your language, and that's kind of how it is with, like, our culture and our history and stuff like that.
You still speak Ilocano?
I can understand everything.
Okay.
But it's
a struggle trying to speak it.
It's a struggle trying to speak it. If I needed to, like, there's been times, especially like,
I bet if you go home, you'll pick that shit up.
I will. Yeah. I will. But it's still. But you know, like again, like it's still very. Dude, last time I went to the Philippines, man, like.
What year was that?
Oh, I want to say 2015.
Okay.
No, yeah, maybe about 2015.
Okay.
I went to the Philippines and you know, like we were in Baguio or something, and you know, in Baguio, it's a lot of Ilocanos there, you know, and I can understand them. They were talking about me. Oh, this guy's really big. You know, oh, he must be like a football player or something. You know, and then like I can understand, but it's like, you know, when I try to talk, it's like, oh, he's American for sure. This motherfucker, like he's American for sure. You know, but you know, and it sucks because like, you know, like I've only been to the Philippines twice, and three times including when I was born and stuff. But like, you know, like even when I was young, when I was 15 and I went back to the Philippines, it was a struggle. Like going back to the whole Filipino and American thing. Like when I went back, like I wasn't Filipino. You know what I mean? Because I was American, but here I'm not American. I'm Filipino.
Well, first of all, let me put it like this. Fuck what anybody say about you.
Right, exactly.
It's how you identify with yourself. So if you're Filipino and they say, "Oh, you ain't Filipino enough," because you can't do this, you can't do that, or you don't do this, or you don't speak the language. Nah.
Right.
Like we have different conditions that has happened that allowed us to be where we at.
Yes.
But at the same time, you know, I do want to encourage folks like take the time to understand the history.
The history, yes.
Very
important.
The whole history of our people from the get-go.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And the immigration.
And to understand like what has happened and has allowed to do in terms of where you at.
Right.
So yes, back to the point of like, yo, your individual experience, it's your experience and it's important.
Right.
But you have to look at the collective history and experience and the struggle and the victories of our people.
Right.
And to be able to see, you know what I mean, deeper in terms of just your own experience.
Right.
So we have to relate it and not disconnect from it and actually be able to connect it with the history.
And see, and I realize that now, but you know, when I went back home as a 15-year-old kid who was still part of a gang, you know what I mean?
For sure.
It's hard to understand that, you know. So
you're young, it's okay.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like when I, you know, like when I went back home when I was 15, like I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, you know, I'm in the Philippines, you know, these are my people, you know, but only to be greeted with like, oh, this guy's American and blah blah, and it's very discouraging, but at the same time, it's like it's kind of like the jump off to like, okay, well, if I'm not Filipino, who am I? You know, and it's that, and you know, like what you're just explaining, like I just realized that now. Everything that you just said, I just experienced. I just know that now. But that's also throughout, like all the research and all the things that I've been through, my own experience, being Filipino American. It's only because of that I understand what you just said.
That's real.
You know
well, you know, because I came here when I was 11.
Right.
I grew up in a small town, country folk, and you know, I was told.
Wait. Where were you? Where did you grow up?
Fallon, Nevada. It's like an hour away from Reno.
Oh, okay.
From when I came here, 11 to 17.
Okay.
That's where I went to high school. It was straight country, white folks.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought you were from here.
No, I've been around, like, you know, but this is the longest place I've stayed in San Jose.
Okay.
But when I joined the Navy, they told me, like, oh, you ain't Filipino because you don't speak Tagalog.
Really? But you don't speak Tagalog, don't you?
No, because, again, I grew up here from 11 to 17 straight. And I was told, like, yo, like, you don't speak Tagalog. Try to speak English so you can get a better job and be able to, you know what I mean? Like, be able to get along with people and just assimilate to the American culture.
And you know, and that's how my parents were. Like my parents, again, I all I spoke was Ilocano when I got here. But like my parents, like they didn't see it fit to uphold the language in the household because you know, like again, like I said before. Well, yeah, like I said before, like my dad when he first got here, he experienced a lot of racism and stuff. So he took that and he was like, you know what, when my kids grow up, I'm gonna, you know, it's important that they assimilate to the culture so that they don't go through the same shit that I went through, you know.
And I think that's rooted in terms of like, yo, like they have great intent.
Right.
but there's an impact.
Yeah.
And understanding the
It's
impact.
like a sacrifice, but is it a good sacrifice?
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, they mean well in terms of you being able to survive in a new environment.
Right.
So
right.
what they're really doing is they want you to survive and thrive in the new environment.
Right.
But not understanding the impact of understanding yourself and your own history and your own culture has a lot of impact.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And so again, back to the point of like, wherever you at, again, there's 15 million Filipinos outside of the Philippines.
Yeah. There's a lot,
Across
dude.
the world, and wherever you at, I mean, there's 4 million in the U.S., which is the most. Wherever you at, you know what I mean? And if you identify as Filipino, whatever you identify it's a matter of you digging and learning about what you identify as and what does that mean.
And you wanting to do that. Like, you
know
can't
what I
just
mean?
do it because you're forced to do it. You know?
For sure. So, what has been the biggest struggle and the biggest victory in your life?
I think the biggest struggle so far has been I think taking over FYC.
That's the struggle or the victory?
Struggle. It's actually both.
It's struggle. Go on, break it down.
So struggle. I mean,
Let me give context. Mark is the executive director of FYC. And so there you go. Let's go.
So, I guess the biggest struggle is being able to keep up with youth today.
With the times.
Yeah, with the times, man. Dude, like I am very much an old school person. You know what I mean? Like I that's just, like how I was raised, blah blah. And it's like, like when we took over FYC, it was such a different generation. You know what I mean? Like how do we keep up? Like it was hard enough to keep up before, but even now, with social media, like social media is such a big thing, man.
For sure.
And honestly, like one of the main things that we wanted to focus on with FYC is that you have a platform to be able to tell your story. You know what I mean? But it's like, like being able to bring out culture to these youth and stuff. Like, how do we get culture to youth that can get it online or they don't even identify with the culture?
Yeah.
But my victory would be the few students that we were able to reach, we were able to say like, hey, like we're here for you to be able to start your journey into learning who you are. You know what I mean? And youth, they've even now, like, they DM us on Instagram and they hit us up on different things, like, or they'll see us on the street and they'll be like, yo, is FYC still around? And we'll tell them yes, but it's on a different thing now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely like, it's crazy with FYC, man. Like, especially times now, especially with COVID and stuff like that. Like, it's been very hard, so.
Well, like FYC started when? What year? 93?
93.
Good
And it started in a garage. It started in like a living room. Like it wasn't until like 95 when we were able to get funding from the city and stuff like that. We were able to get a building.
That's 20 plus years.
Yeah, man.
So imagine 20 plus years and the lives that you've touched all these years.
Yeah.
Like, how are you able to mobilize them to actually make sure that the FYC
stays alive.
And you know what I mean? So I just want to put it out there, like straight out to you, bruh. Like, you ain't got to do it yourself.
I know. And that's,
Hold on. Let me say that again.
Yeah.
You ain't got to do it by yourself, man. Make sure the people around you and the people that have been impacted by it and know the importance of the work.
Right.
You could work with folks.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Don't put it all on your shoulder, bro.
And we've known each other for a long time, and that's kind of like how I work sometimes.
I stop it then. But there's folks out there that do care and are willing to put the time, and so make sure you don't look at it that way. Like,
thank you very much,
it's
and
not
I
just up to you. It's really up to the very community to like, like put it all together.
And I appreciate everyone that's helped out with FYC and everyone that's taken interest into FYC the past few years, especially like through our rebuild and stuff like that.
For
thank
sure.
you very much.
I just got into a new app. Are you in the app Clubhouse?
What?
Clubhouse?
What's Clubhouse?
So it's an app called Clubhouse. It's basically an invite only. And people just let me show you. So basically, it's a clubhouse. So I just got on last night.
It looks like Instagram.
It's basically only voice. So what happened is that there's basically rooms. You create rooms and people create discussions. So there's a room here, and so people jump on, and it's just audio.
Oh, cool.
So I got in. So I got in yesterday. I was like, oh, let me check out the app. So I got in, and
dude, send me an invite if you can.
yeah, I'll send it to you. Yeah. And there was a conversation in terms of social media influencers, you know, and so there was like, there was like, there's this app called Clubhouse, and I was exploring it last night, and I saw Monica Uello. She's one of the TikTok influencers. She has like hella followers, and she added me, so I checked her out, and she was in a room in the middle of a discussion with other social media influencers that have like almost like 1 million followers, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so I jumped in the room, and then they were having a discussion, and I end up like, I'm not on a stage, so you create a stage where people have a conversation.
Like a panel
like
almost.
a panel.
Right? Yeah, okay.
But outside of the panel, there's actually people listening, and you can see who's listening in the audience.
Oh, nice.
So there's an app, or there's a part where you can like raise your hand, and if you want to jump in.
So it's a little like Zoom, kind of.
But audio only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then I wanted to ask a question. I asked a question in terms of like, you know, as a social media influencers with the following that you have built, what does it look like for you all, and what would be the challenge in terms of advocating for social issues, you know, and things like that. And so so I got pulled into the stage, and then I end up being on the stage.
What the hell?
This is my first time.
And it's your first time on a stupid app?
So
Oh my God.
So I was like, I'll just roll with it, which is cool. It was fun.
It sounds like a good platform.
Yeah, I think maybe you can find a way to use that in terms of like having a conversation with the youth.
With the youth, no, I was just about to say.
You know, that's why I wanted to bring that up in regards to like.
So you said it's invite only.
Yeah. So people invite you, and yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I brought it up specifically because you talk about like the challenge in terms
Challenges
of
and stuff, yeah,
social media, and so this is a new app in regards to being able to engage with whoever you want to engage with. You can create a room where you can discuss a specific thing, and people can participate and can jump in and out of the conversation. So yeah, something that I definitely want to suggest and like look it up and
thank you very much.
Make sure how to make use of it in terms of doing the work that you do.
Thank you very much. You know, like with things opening up, you know, we're hoping to get back into like into like the swing of things. But you know, honestly, like this would be a good way to be able to like start that off. And
Yeah. Well, again, I have a space. And if y'all need a space when things open up, I'm always here, bro.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You know what I mean? However we can.
We need to have open mic nights again, Doug.
For sure. Yeah. However we can maximize the space in regards to being able to serve.
Your space is huge,
the community. So,
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Any last words? The wisdom. Where's the wisdom? Let's go.
You know what? I'm not a wise man. I'm probably the last person you want to take advice from. But honestly, if I have to leave with anything, you know, other than no history, no self, is that, you know, like especially in times of struggle, it's important to know who you are, and it's important to stay positive. And it might sound very cliche. But you know, like with like me, and like I know a bunch of folks that like in the past year or so, you know, like their mental health has gotten really bad. You know what I mean? Because you know we're just like trapped in the house. You know, but you know, like you have to know that there's people like Mike, you know what I mean, that's willing to open up their space and stuff, and you know, and FYC still here, or just, you know, like if any of y'all need to talk to anyone, you know, I'm here as well. But you know, just being able to stay positive and like learning about yourself. Use this time wisely to learn about yourself and learn about your community. You know, there are several different kinds of several different organizations that deal with different things that you might be into and stuff. So reach out and stuff. So
that's fucking dope.
Yeah, man.
And that is the end of our podcast. Again, thank you for coming through, motherfucker.
Yeah, you know.
We out here. But just to know, you know.
Blazi blah.
we build, connect, and break bread with our folks. And make sure to like, subscribe. Appreciate the support. Love y'all.
Peace.
Hey.
Peace.
Hey.
Peace.
Hey.
Peace.
Hey.
Peace.
Hey.